Welcome to the show where we explore the who, what, where, how, and why of the extraordinary people who define our north of normal metro. I'm Conrad Fargo, and this is the Fargo Five. Today we have Daniel Wolfe, who's an author. A news book, Sophia Monster, is coming out soon. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Conrad. Thanks for having me.
Do you like, I didn't ask, do you like Dan or Daniel or Danny Boy?
Daniel will be just fine.
There's a lot of songs. We've got, because I was wondering if you're hungry, like the wolf. I mean, there's a lot of songs. There's a lot of songs that we can do with your name.
There are a lot. Big Bad Wolf.
I don't, yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you probably heard them all.
Oh, yeah.
As Clink Hammer, the kids had a field day with me, so that's fine. I know you from Ebony. She is a mover and a shaker out there. Previous guest to the show, a good friend of mine. I network with her a lot, and she said, "Oh, you got to have Danny Boy on. You gotta have him in to talk about his book." And so I reached out. We got it arranged. But why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself? Just kind of let people know what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I am a new author on the scene. I've only been writing I've been writing since last July, but published, self-published, my first book back in May. So it's very, very new.
Yeah.
But I guess my full-time job, I'm actually an online tutor.
Oh.
But definitely trying to balance off this hobby with book writing and being an author while simultaneously teaching.
Yeah. So I'm sure you want to talk about the authorship mostly because that's probably, promote your book and whatnot. I'm very interested, though. I mean, I'm interested in both. So, and we got an hour. So first I want to know about being an online tutor. So you had said to me before that you've got two kids, 4 and 2 years old.
That's right.
And so you have a family to provide for. And you do that simply with online tutoring. And I don't mean simply to say there's nothing hard about it, but I mean it's a remote job and it's all online.
That's right. Yeah.
How did you fall into that? And you're doing it enough. You're doing it full time. Like, is that?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that? And what's that?
So, I've been involved in the education scene for, pretty much my entire career.
Oh, really?
Got started out teaching elementary school, second grade.
Yeah, you were saying that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so did that for a number of years, then actually went abroad and did some teaching with Peace Corps. And did the university scene and teaching English.
Abroad?
Yep.
Where did you go abroad?
Kyrgyzstan, if you know where that is.
I mean, it's a stan, right? So, they're all kind of over there, but like most Americans, I have no sense of geography.
Most of us don't know exactly what's going on in Central Asia, but that's exactly where Kyrgyzstan is.
But most Central Asians couldn't tell you where North Dakota is from Minnesota, from Kentucky. So, it's tough to know.
Middle of a continent.
Yeah, right? Somewhere around there. So, you were going... So these were maybe underdeveloped or not as developed places that you were going to, teaching English, doing that whole thing through the Peace Corps.
Yep.
But how did that move to online?
Yeah, so super. So after Peace Corps, I ended up deciding to stay because I actually met my wife there.
Oh.
She's from Kyrgyzstan.
Oh, okay.
And so I started teaching some private schools in Kyrgyzstan, some international schools, high school, also, again, elementary school.
Yeah.
But then eventually COVID hit.
Yeah.
And, everything kind of shifted online. And there were a number of issues. And by the end of it, I was just kind of burned out by it all and kind of swore off teaching in schools. And was, what am I going to do now?
While you're still in Kurdistan?
Kyrgyzstan.
Kurdistan is something different, right? That's like northern Iraq or something like that.
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan... I don't know if I've ever heard about that, and I'm not as ignorant as many. I'm still very ignorant, I guess. Where is that? Tell me.
Okay, so as someone once told me, it's basically the land of all consonants and sometimes vowels because you spell it Kyrgyz.
Okay.
Stan.
Yeah.
And so it's south of Kazakhstan, if that helps you, which is south of Russia.
And
Kyrgyzstan.
Kazakhstan, that's they worship the hawk. right? That's the joke. That's the joke from Borat.
Oh,
Doesn't he claim to be? Doesn't he claim to be from Kazakhstan?
Yes, I don't remember the joke about the hawk.
Well, that's how he. Yeah. Now he was like, that can't be true. And then I looked up their religious whatever's whatever. I don't remember what the religious whatever was, but I remember Borat. Don't we all? But it's just south of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, and west of China. So that's a little easier, I think, for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. And so like it borders China.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so, what language do they speak over there?
Well, Kyrgyz and Russian, because it used to be part of the Soviet Union.
And did you ever learn either of those languages?
I did, and admitting I'm way out of practice, but I got decent at it.
Okay. All right. And so, as you do, you go abroad, you're doing some work there, you fall in love. Same story, actually.
Yeah.
My wife's Japanese, so I know how you feel. And then you come home. Did you marry her over there, or
married her over there?
Yeah.
And my daughter, my firstborn, Sophia. Who, as you already mentioned the book about her. So she was actually born in Kyrgyzstan.
Oh.
And during COVID, so all that
man.
fun. So kind of everything kind of happened all at once, and even the shift into online teaching. And eventually everything just kind of worked out, and we ended up all the way back here.
So are you still working for the Kyrgyzstanis? How do you even call them?
Well, Kyrgyzstani, actually. That's right.
Yeah. Are you still working for them, or what kind of online tutoring are you doing? I think a lot of people say to themselves, gosh, I know things. I like teaching things. I'd like to make money teaching the things that I know. And they find the academy very, as you know, right, the elementary school, the union, all that stuff can be a bit of a hurdle to jump through. And they say, gosh, I'd love to do tutoring online. Like, what I want to, was that your thought? Or how did you dive into something because I'm very interested.
Yeah. Well, I never actually worked for the Kyrgyz government or anything. So Peace Corps is volunteering for the U.S. government, actually. So started out with that, and then once my
I don't know anything
tour,
about the Peace Corps.
It's a 2-year stint, essentially, where you are living with locals and getting paid a really small stipend to promote, what is America? Where does America? Some of these countries, they've never really met Americans before. So it's part of teaching about the United States, but also learning about the local culture of the country that's hosting you. So, and it's all about getting into the community.
Yeah.
You're not just working in an embassy or something. You're as they might say, in the field, and you're living there.
How did you end up? How did you end up? Why the peace? Why that? This is the show, actually. So we peel the onion, and then we build it brick by brick, because I think it's all part of the story here, right? So you're a member of the teachers union teaching at elementary school for X number of years here, and you say, I'm done with this. I'm going to Peace Corps, right? How does that?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
There was this time in the U.S. I was working. At an elementary school, and then eventually just decided, I don't want to be in this school anymore. What else do I want to do? Well, I love culture. I love learning about other countries and traveling and geography. And Peace Corps, they have this part where you're teaching locals how to teach, and at the same time, it's not just imparting information on the locals like they have nothing to teach, also learning a little bit about how they do things and learning how other parts of the world operate. And so that kind of appealed to me. It wasn't focused particularly on one country and teaching one way, because that is, in a sense, education. It's two-directional, it's multi-directional. Something that sometimes we forget. Teachers, sure, they're giving information to kids, but that's not to say kids don't have something to teach us. And so that really spoke to me, and decided, well, sure, why not? And they asked me where I wanted to go. I don't know. But one of the options was Kyrgyzstan, and I literally knew nothing. I knew that it was in Central Asia. Because if you really think about it, you and I were both kind of born late 80s, early 90s, and that's when the Soviet Union broke apart. The United States and Kyrgyzstan never really had a relationship. And so it wasn't in the textbooks or anything that we learned in school. That's why we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I was like, well, the best way to learn about it is to go there.
Sure.
And that's what I did.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And so they said, how about Kyrgyzstan? You go there. And then when you come back during COVID, because you're done with all that COVID nonsense, you're like, well, if I'm going to be stuck inside, I might as well be stuck inside in a nice, comfortable house in America, right? Like, is that kind of the thinking there, or what? What is it about COVID that drove you back home?
Well, first of all, I mean, we couldn't quite go back home yet.
Oh,
my wife, being a Kyrgyz national, did not have a visa to actually come to the U.S. So we had to apply and go through that whole
it's a whole nonsense
process.
You were already married, so you didn't have to worry about, do I really want to marry this woman or anything, right? So you just kind of jumped through the hoop. You're waiting for that, right?
Yep. The whole 2-year waiting process. Things really kind of slowed down during COVID. Just cases built up. But yeah, we eventually decided. I mean, I had already shifted to online teaching at that point.
Oh, really?
I had been doing it for about just a year.
Through the Peace Corps teaching thing?
No,
or
totally separate.
So you had... Yeah.
Again, so let me walk you through the timeline, I guess. So I started Peace Corps in 2016, and that finished up in 2018. So it's, again, 2 years of service. And at that point, I decided, well, I'm going to stick around. Met my wife, thought...
Oh, after your service. You met her after the service while you were sticking around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what made you decide to... I mean, because we talk about how great America is, and I've spent time abroad, and I mean, gosh, Japan is thought of as a first world nation, right? Like, and I was there, and I was like, nope, I'm going home. I like America, baby. Like that was my discovery process. You, on the other hand, were like, at the end of your 2 years, you were like, you know what? I'm staying. What was it about the country? What was it about the experience that made you just be like, I ain't leaving? Like, how does that?
I felt like there was still stuff for me to learn. At that point. So, I mean, I had gotten a certain experience to it, and just felt there was more to see, more to experience. Definitely wanted to see more, experience more, and again, at that point, like right at the end of my service, essentially, like my wife and I, we'd started dating, and so there was also that factor. Yeah. Okay. And so at that point, I mean, I'm there, I'm learning more, and of course, my wife is introducing me more to the culture, and I'm working at some schools, some private schools, high schools.
And this isn't through the Peace Corps at all.
Peace Corps. This is just through the schools themselves.
Yeah. So you're doing what anybody could do even without the Peace Corps. Just land there and start teaching. Yeah. And you're earning whatever prevailing wage is. Like, I'm just trying to imagine, because I mean, it's I have no idea what conditions on the ground are like there. Like, what's it like living there day to day, and what's the salary? Do you have any idea, like, how much, can you tell how much you were making?
Sure. So I mean, again, I was working at a private international school, but not like one of the top tier ones or anything. I wanted to work at one that didn't have all the embassy kids, but more local kids.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And so it didn't pay as well, but it started off paying like $1,200 a month, which for Kyrgyzstan is pretty good.
That's right. And so you're living probably comfortably, because with the purchase power parity and whatnot, right? You're living all right. You're living comfortably, and then COVID hits, or what? Where do you start and I promise we'll get to your book, but because I think having the ability to do this remote online teaching most certainly ties into becoming a writer.
It does.
Right. Yeah. And so I really want to get into the nugget, because this is fascinating, right? Like, you're living abroad, living probably pretty comfortably as a foreign national, probably expat. Like, were you planning on coming back at any time? Like, probably not, right? Like,
I didn't know when. I'll be honest. I didn't have a timeline.
Yeah, no timeline. You're falling in love with this girl, not married quite yet, and then you start transitioning in a way that I think everybody wants to transition, which is into online tutoring, right? I think there are many people, and I think that's really interesting. I think you do a lot of things people want to do. You're living abroad, you're having experiences, you're teaching people, you're a writer, and then even you're doing online tutoring. You are living somebody's dream, many people's dream. I don't know if you're aware of that. So I want to unpack the moving parts of how you made that dream a reality, so that other people can follow in your footsteps. Like, as you are there in Kyrgyzstan, if I'm saying it right, as you're there in Kyrgyzstan and doing the teaching for the university or whatever school, making $1,200 a month. When do you start transitioning to online, and what is that even like? How do you just went to Google and were like online tutoring, or you must have heard of something, or?
Yeah. So, I held a number of positions throughout these schools, some leadership, but some also just classic teaching in the classroom, homeroom teacher and all. But it did kind of reach that point where, the pandemic hit and we went into lockdown, and we did shift online. And at this point, I had left one school and I went and I started at another. And very quickly in the beginning of that school year, we shifted back to offline. And for me, I'll be honest, I was a little uncomfortable with it. More than a little uncomfortable, because we were still in the midst of it. And there weren't any vaccines yet. And at that point, my wife was pregnant with my daughter. And so I certainly had those concerns. And so to put a long story short, it eventually led to me just leaving teaching altogether.
Because you were afraid of the virus.
Well, I was afraid of infecting a loved one. I think many of us were.
Yeah. Nobody was more. Look, nobody went crazier than I did. Like, I was the guy at the supermarket with gloves on his hands. Like, I definitely understand. I'm a hypochondriac by nature. So when it hit, I let my freak flag fly. Like, I was like, oh, okay. And I was the guy. Mm-hmm. Like, I would come back in. I would go to the grocery store, and it was like an expedition, right? I'd suit up and everything. And then I would come home. All the clothes would come off into the laundry machine, like, instantly, because, everything. So nobody took it further than me. I totally understand being like, I'm not ready yet to go back. Like, I'm not ready. Nope, I'm not there. Because I've struggled with those kinds of things my whole life. Because I understand fear of contagion for sure. And especially, my goodness, when you've got a pregnant wife, right? Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're like, do or die. We got bills to pay. I need to find an online way. Like, that was kind of...
Yeah, I needed to find something different, and I basically just sworn off, offline teaching or just in-school teaching altogether.
Nothing more in person.
And even just working in Kyrgyzstan at that point, I was just like, I can't even trust the community, unfortunately, around me. You
felt like their standards or their protocols around COVID were just, like, not where you want them to be. Yeah, basically. Yeah. No, I get that. Absolutely. Okay. And so at that point, you put the 2-year notice for the K1, and then you're just waiting, basically. Yes. Yeah. And so you're waiting, and you're like, we got to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. And so where did you begin your search? Like, how did you find...
I don't know exactly the full route that I took and how I exactly started searching on the internet. It definitely involved a Google search. Yeah. But I definitely started at first with some Chinese company, which involved a lot of acting, which was not for me. Okay. I really had to develop a certain personality for that. And I just need to be myself.
And how did you... I feel like there's a lot of false leads to go down. Like, when you type in, I want to teach online, I guarantee, like, the first 5 links will waste your time. Or is that not the case? I mean,
there were certainly a few that did not work out. Yeah. And eventually I did find just like freelance tutoring platforms where how else do I describe it? I guess,
Can you drop any names? Like, are you still working for them to this day?
I'm still working for one, Preply.com.
Preply?
Yeah. Okay. Totally oversaturated. I think they have over 33,000 English teachers, and I focus on English.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, this sounds like a very saturated... So how is it that you broke into that market in a way? Like, how do you get a foothold?
Yeah. I had a niche. So test prep was my main thing. Okay. And so teaching or preparing people, especially non-native speakers, for English fluency exams like TOEFL or IELTS, which are 2 of the main exams, but also doing test preparation for high school students in the U.S., like the SAT. specifically the reading writing section, despite math being my forte in high school. I have not touched it since high school. But yeah, that was kind of my niche, and there's a lot of demand for that, and having the right person who can actually kind of get results. And because I was able to actually deliver some results, got a lot of reviews rather quickly on this niche. So you had your niche, but did you also, how else did you, like, what was it like getting the first client? Like, that had to be, your heart must have been all aflutter. Like, do you not remember? It was slow in the beginning.
Okay.
Really slow. And I was working for a really small rate. Really small. But I was in Kyrgyzstan at the time, so it was okay.
Yeah, because you guys could make the ends meet.
Right.
You were probably getting those stimmy checks from the U.S. or not so much? Were they hitting your bank account and helping keeping you afloat in a way?
I got a couple of those, yeah.
Or for whatever reason, you had U.S. money kind of behind you or saved up or however, and so you're able to stay afloat. And so you built it, getting those qualified reviews step by step by step. How long did it take you to be doing that full time?
Well, technically, I've always been doing it full time. It was just that
you weren't getting paid full time.
I wasn't getting paid like a U.S. kind of salary. In the beginning, I was getting $700 or so a month. But again, it was okay for Kyrgyzstan, and as I mentioned, we had a little bit of backup.
And did your wife work as well? Did that help? Oh,
actually,
because you didn't want her going out.
Stay-at-home mom.
Oh, my goodness.
For a number of years. Because a couple of years after our daughter, then our son arrived. So it was just kind of taking care of the kids while. It was kind of a classic setup where the man, the husband, is kind of
absolutely
the moneymaker.
Yeah.
But again, it was something that we could work out because we're in a country where the dollar got by a little bit
gets you a little
more.
further. Yeah. And so you do that. By the time you guys got the K1 visa, you came over here, and now you're still doing, because you've kind of built it up brick by brick.
Brick by brick, gradually raising that rate and able to justify it,
but you could take it and go back and probably live a lot more comfortably now that you have now that you have a full remote, right? But you don't.
No, yeah. Once we land in a place, this is very much where my wife and I are. Like once we land in a place, we commit. We try to stay put.
Okay.
And we knew at some point, once we were kind of done with Kyrgyzstan, like, okay, we're going to end up somewhere in the U.S. and we need to figure out where exactly we want to put our roots.
Yeah, where are you from originally?
Not Fargo.
Okay, yeah. So when did you come to Fargo? It was
2023.
Okay, so you've been through 2 winters, 1 winter.
Yes, and neither of them were that bad.
Okay, well, I mean,
and I know you're going easy on us.
Yeah, I know. Well, I they blur together, and I really. Yeah, I don't know. I think that 1 winter was pretty bad when we kept freezing and thawing over and over
again.
I
think that was 2022 before we came. Okay. I heard mentions of how bad it was, and 2023 was kind of that joke year where there was basically no snow.
But every year we have at least the 1 week where it gets minus 40 with wind chill, and that's kind of the, and if you can handle that, and I call it our immigration policy. I say, you must be this tough to live here. I'm not saying if you leave, you're weak, but if you're weak, you leave. And that's kind of why, Fargo people, I feel, are kind of a different breed, a different stock. And of any origin, any race and creed, all you got to be able to do is take care of yourself through the winter months. Because if you can't, you got to find somewhere else to be. So you guys came. So why Fargo? What was that whole process like?
Okay, so I moved around a lot as a kid.
Okay,
I was born in Kansas.
Oh,
but I only lived there for 2 years.
Man, you were just begging for it with Danny Boy and Hungry Like the Wolf. You ain't in Kansas anymore, right?
Nope.
Like you're just.
I'm all the cliches.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not in Kansas anymore. I'm sorry. And then every time you say my wife, like in the back of my head, because I'm a millennial, I have to say my wife, like is coming up in my head. Like you are just, this whole interview is triggering me just a little bit. But go ahead. You moved around a lot as a child.
Moved around a lot.
Yeah. What was the cause of that?
Just my parents got different jobs.
Oh.
In different. So my dad primarily was getting job offers in different universities. He works in science and
your
does a lot
father
of
was
research.
a teacher too, or he was more of a researcher. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did mom do? Or she was stay at home?
Also was a researcher in science and eventually started her own company. We moved around a lot. And so Kansas, Maryland, Tennessee, Massachusetts, and that was kind of more or less where we stayed from when I was 9 to 18. And then I moved back to Tennessee for college.
Okay.
California for a master's program.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyways, we come back from Kyrgyzstan, and I don't really have ties anywhere. All my friends from various paths of life have also moved on to other cities and things. And so I'm like, okay, where on earth are we going to end up? We had moved back to Massachusetts, where my mom was staying, where my mom lives. And we knew we weren't going to stay there primarily because the coastal cities are incredibly expensive, and I would not been earning a lot for the past few years. So we were just looking for somewhere that was a little bit more affordable, family friendly, just kind of fit also our lifestyle. We had spent the past year kind of living outside of the major Kyrgyz city, Bishkek, that's the capital. And there's about 1 million people that live in that city. It's actually not that small, but we lived in a little village outside of it for that last year since I was online, and we could.
Why?
And we did like how kind of it was a little quieter, a little more peaceful, not so go.
In Far or where you were?
Where we were staying. And so we kind of liked that and figured we wanted something more like that. And so we also I personally did not want to stay somewhere that was hot. I had lived in Tennessee for several years, and I knew how hot summers can get, and I can only shed so much clothing.
That's what I always say. I can only get so naked. That's what I always say. Yes.
And so you can see me, and the listeners can't, but I'm covered in a lot of hair. So I overheat. And so kind of the northern Midwest was more or less where we were looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something about just Fargo, North Dakota, kind of it called to us.
And
in a way.
Tell me, so, and I don't get transplants on as often as I like. And what was your, does Fargo live in, if you say LA, I know LA. If you say Minneapolis, I know Minneapolis. If you say New York City, I know New York City. Like, was Fargo a place that lived in your mind in any way before you were shopping around places to live? What was
really no? Because I had not seen the movie Fargo at that point. I knew it existed, but I hadn't actually seen it.
Great movie and TV series.
TV show, I do.
I'm rewatching season 2 right now. It's so good. But you hadn't seen the shows.
Hadn't seen it. Heard of Wells Fargo. No connection as far as I can tell.
So what was the first? Do you recall like the very first thing where Fargo popped up on your radar? Like how did that? You must have been like on Google, like top 10 places to live, or like how?
No, and I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah, you were just throwing darts.
We were looking at Wyoming. We were looking at Montana.
Yeah.
We were just looking at a number of different states, and it was just something about North Dakota and Fargo that sounded like it was for us.
Okay.
Did a little research. It sounded all right.
Yeah.
Knew winters were going to be probably something tough, but I grew up in Massachusetts. I can't say the winters are as bad, but I'm familiar with winter.
Well, it's more humid out there though, right? Because they're on the coast.
It is.
And that was in Japan, and I always reference Japan like an idiot, but I'm sure you do the same thing with Kyrgyzstan, right? All the time you're like, in Kyrgyzstan, da-da-da-da-da. Do you do that? I do that about Japan all the time. In Japan, it only gets down to like 30, 25, so it's not as cold. But because of the water, because it's an island,
exactly,
it goes straight, like doesn't matter how many layers, it's going to like go straight through into your bones. Massachusetts that way as well?
More or less.
Yeah. So I can imagine it's almost more uncomfortable because you said your winters don't scare me. You're probably just appropriately dressed. Like that's all it takes.
Yeah. And so obviously we growing up, I learned how's the right way to dress for winter. But even Kyrgyzstan actually gets colder than
a lot of mountains out there, right? Is the elevation really high out there?
Quite.
Yeah.
It is the foothills of the Himalayas, essentially, the Tian Shan Mountains. And so very mountainous, in certain parts absolutely frigid. But then you also have Kazakhstan up to the north, which is essentially the Midwest of Asia. You've got the steppe. It's flat. The wind speeds really pick up, and that wind chill
is
brutal. I was in Kazakhstan at one point where I think it was like minus 40 with the wind chill. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is cold. I need to keep my gloves on. So it wasn't something that was too shocking by the time we got here. Like my wife, especially growing up in Kyrgyzstan, at least had some experiences with winter. Even if Fargo is certainly a little colder than what she's expected, but at the same time, it wasn't too big of a shock when we're out just like, what have we done? Although sometimes we do ask ourselves that as a joke, like, what have we gotten ourselves into?
So you came into town, you're renting a place, I imagine?
No, we actually bought a house last year.
Right off the bat. Or, I mean, you've only been here a couple of years. Yeah, so you're committed.
As I said, like when we choose a place, we choose a place where we're there for the long haul.
Because that's a big commitment.
Yeah.
With your online teaching, I mean, you could go and be anywhere. So if you had a couple more winters and decided it was too cold, but now you're almost kind of stuck, aren't you? And you're okay with that.
Yeah.
You're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've met a number of people over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And just that's what you really need.
Well,
you need a community.
Is your wife still is she still working out of the home? Is she still stay at home?
No. So when we moved to Fargo, part of that was, okay, you're going to get out of the house. You're going to get yourself a job. She was really craving it at that point.
Yeah.
And she stuck to, I mean, something that she was doing before we had kids, and something she kind of knew best was working in daycare. So that's what she does now.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And so that she gets to spend the time with her kid. What daycare does she work at?
Goddard School, if you know it.
Goddard?
Goddard.
Oh, yeah. Those Jim Goddard, right? Is that?
Ooh,
or,
I don't know.
Okay. Don't.
It's a franchise, so they've got
That is a
locations all
franchise.
over the country.
I had looked a little bit into them. We had a previous guest of the show, Mr. Kaska. He also does kind of a private school kind of a thing. He has like a micro school set up in Moorhead. Might be worth connecting you guys on that level. But so she's working out there. You've got daycare for your kids, because I was going to ask where you had them. That's great. Goddard schools are good. And you bought the house. You're committed, and you're working full time doing the online teaching. How is it? Is it just through your wife's friends, or what are you doing to get out and meet people?
Well, honestly, for the first year and a half, almost 2 years, I wasn't. And it was all through my wife and her coworkers. And then,
and it can be difficult to be, I mean, again, with a wife, my own wife is not from here, right? Mm-hmm. And she can be a little anxious about meeting people or socially meeting people. She feels the language barrier sometimes, even though her English is very good, probably better than my own mother's, frankly. She just feels intimidated by it. Did your wife not have that issue at all, and nothing?
She was a little concerned in the beginning.
But, so I mean, just use it. But all your socialization is going through her.
Right,
is
exactly.
what I'm saying. Like that had to be like that year and a half must have been very. More like COVID, almost isolating.
Well, the nice thing about online teaching is I'm still interacting with people.
Oh,
so,
sure.
I mean, getting on Zoom or Google Meet and still seeing people face to face, it's not quite the same thing, but I still had lots of socialization going on.
Okay.
But
with the screen.
With the screen.
Yeah,
not in the community
humans.
or anything.
Yeah. And so what did you do to change that?
Well, I started publishing books.
Oh, okay. So you're sitting there, you're doing the work, you're seeing people on screens, and you say to yourself, I want to write a book so I can meet people? Or how does that that flow?
I would say that's more of a benefit of what happened. I was like, well, you know what, this could lead into that.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole book writing thing was, it's been a journey I can say I've been on probably for my entire life.
Yeah.
I've always kind of been into creativity and stories. And, when I was in high school, like, I could not stand writing an essay or anything. I was not particularly good at it. But when we got the creative assignments, like write a short story or something, I was all about it. And that's eventually how I did learn how to write an essay, was to kind of blend creative writing and the voice in my writing with essay writing. But I guess, it just, throughout various stages of my life, high school, college, even after, I had someone somewhere saying, you should really be writing. You should write. And I had tried a number of times to get started on some kind of novel or short story, but it was really hard to commit. And I think a number of writers out there will tell you you get an idea and then actually trying to put it into words is really, really hard. Trying to actually finish something that you started is not easy. And I certainly had that problem as well. And so there were so many times where I started and stopped this writing journey.
Well, and I think the things that are most important or special about us are a continuation of our being, right? Like it's when you say you started from the beginning, I believe it. I believe you. You've always been a writer.
Yeah.
But when you introduced yourself in the very beginning, you said you've been a writer for 2 years, right? And,
Not even.
And yeah, not even 2 years, right? And so there is some kind of a point where you have almost like a self-actualization or a self-realization where you go,
that was a really good.
you say, that's what I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've had that recently with the word consultant. And I'm still working on it to try to like flesh out, because what I do day to day is, again, what I've always been doing, but putting it into words is difficult, and then getting it out there. When is it, or how was it that you said to yourself, I'm a writer? And when you said that, how did it change things for you?
Well, it was more about what were the circumstances. So we had been moving a lot over the past couple of years, from Kyrgyzstan to Massachusetts to Fargo, and just there was a lot of constant picking up and settling back in. And by the time we bought the house, we were kind of like, okay, we're settled. And that was when I started thinking more about, well, what do I want to do? I do love teaching and I love this tutoring, but I want to do more. I want to be more involved with my kids, especially. They're getting older and they're growing fast. And I know as a father, you can very much relate to that. And that was kind of one of the final pieces of the puzzle is I want to do more with them, connect with them more. I like to write. They like to read. I would love to write books for them. And that, not to say that writing children's books is easier, but they're certainly a lot shorter. So trying to actually complete a children's book project certainly is a lot easier.
Although, as ChatGPT has shown us, being short is almost harder, right? Like you can go to Chad and be like, tell me something, wall of text, right? Getting it to give it to you succinctly,
sure,
and in an inspired way is very challenging, right? Like, is that what you found, or?
It was more, I think, about embellishing my stories. They certainly started off a little too short, and I had to make them up just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part was the actual illustrations, because I am not an artist, not in the drawing sense, not in that visual sense.
Yeah.
But my sister is, and she's a professional artist. And I reached out. I was like, hey, I've written a couple scripts that I'd like to turn into a kid's book for my kids. Would you be interested in drawing pictures for them? And she was like, oh, yeah. Is it just for like a single copy, or are you planning to publish? I was like, well, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that.
Okay.
But then eventually we kind of decided, well, no, let's do it. Let's go the whole way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I guess that answers the question. I did it for my kids.
Okay. So you start writing it, and so children's book. Where do you start? So you weren't sure if you wanted to do production at first. You were just going to do it for them. You opened up a Word document, or what was the process?
Well,
like?
Yeah, exactly that. I opened up a Word document and I wrote a story based on experiences that my kids have had or that they've had with me. So the first book, The Red Ball, is all about a little boy who...
And do you have... I think you brought the
copy,
books...
Yeah,
do you
for those of you who are live streaming, you can see it right here.
Yeah.
So it's all about a little boy who has a favorite red ball, and eventually he loses it. And I think many parents of young kids will relate to the fact that kids will lose a favorite toy and get really upset about it. And then even more so when you're looking around for that toy, it's kind of in a really obvious spot. The kid just didn't look.
So we've got maybe another 10 minutes left in the show.
Oh, boy, that was fast.
Yeah, I told you it goes fast. I told you. But honestly, I'm a writer and I have something to sell. That's great. But I think it's more interesting that you're this guy who traveled the country, did Peace Corps, came back, and is now publishing his own. But I think the backstory is the meat there. So I want, though, with the time we have, unless you wanted to take it another direction, could we read? Children's books are pretty short, right?
The red ball is very short.
Yeah,
that will take about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Do you want to read it? You didn't bring 2 copies, did you?
I only brought the one.
Oh, okay. Because you could show that you can at least read it and then show the camera. Because I think the illustrations as well. Do you want to read the story on the air? Do you feel comfortable doing an on-air live read? Sorry to ambush you like that.
No,
but
I'm an author. I should expect I need to read my book. and
then all this stuff. I'll bet you don't even have this yet. All this stuff goes on. You said for the people in the live stream. Nobody watches the live stream. It's not. The live stream is a cloud server that I hold on Facebook. Don't tell Facebook this. But if I were to have a file, it's like 3 gigabytes. But I download it from them. It's 100 megabytes. So it's much smaller. It's compressed. I don't have to do anything. It just saves it, and it's right there for me. And then I chop that up, and it becomes a YouTube video. So you're going to be on the YouTubes now with your book. How about you? Do you have your book? Do you have a version of your book on the YouTube?
On YouTube, no.
Okay, I'll
but
chop
you're
up
going to be the one.
Yep, I'm going to chop this up and make it its own video even of you reading the book. So let's go ahead and give the live read of The Little Red Ball.
The red ball.
Red ball.
Red ball. All right. Well, a little boy loved his ball. He had many balls, but the small red one was his favorite. He rolled it. He threw it. He looked at it upside down and sideways too. He did everything with his ball. But one day, he couldn't find it. Oh, how he cried. Here's a blue ball with pink stars, Daddy said. But it wasn't his ball. Look, a big yellow ball, Mommy said. But it still wasn't his ball. It's okay, said Sister. I will find your ball. She looked in the toy chest. She looked under the crib. She even looked in the dishwasher. Where is it? There it is. How silly, Sister said. You gave it to your teddy bear. The little boy hugged his ball. And he hugged his sister too. And that is The Red Ball.
Very cool. I think children's stories are deceptively simple. I think they could be a lot harder. Or what was your experience with writing it and publishing it, getting the whole thing out there? What's been the reception?
Well, the reception has been better than I expected, and that's largely thanks to the local community. I really have to applaud everybody.
In Fargo.
In Fargo.
So tell me more about, you said the book is what got you out and got you meeting people again face to face. Tell me about that. Tell me how one leads to the other, because I'm not sure that's clear to me.
Yeah, so, part of actually writing the book, you can't just write it. You have to tell people it exists. And I could have done that through Amazon. I didn't particularly want to because, again, that's very algorithmic and didn't really have that connection part. And that's something that I really wanted. That's really a part of, I guess, my brand. Connect with my kids, connect with the local community, make connections. And so I actually went out and spoke to local businesses, some of the local bookstores here, especially like the small ones, the independent businesses, not just bookstores, like some other places like Vintage Point, a gift shop, or Sweet Dreams Confection, a candy store. And so these are some places that you can find the Red Ball.
Who made the book for you? Like, how did that? We've got 5 minutes, and I'm like, how did you start that? I mean, where do you even begin?
Yeah, that's the hard part. So I am self-published. You know, I could go the traditional publishing route, but that takes a long time. That can take a year or two.
Yeah.
And
and talk about a saturated market, right? Like it's got to be hard to break in.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, and you're going to end up marketing your book anyways. So there's not just because you go through a traditional publisher doesn't mean that you're going to find much success or get that much reach out there.
Yeah.
But I wrote this book especially for my son at that point, who had just turned 2. And so I didn't want it to take much longer where he would end up being 4 and outgrowing a board book. Yeah. So I went self-published and had to do a lot of research to find a printer. Now, board book printing is really complicated. There is no print on demand, which is a type of printing. You can do print on demand where they print a single copy at a time when someone orders it. Or you can do offset printing where they print hundreds or thousands of copies.
Yep.
There is no offset printing in the U.S. Nothing that's cheap. You could end up paying, like a customer would probably end up paying like $40 for a board book, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So I decided to go offset printing, and to do that, you can do offset printing here in the U.S. where it's a little bit more expensive, or somewhere else like China. Yeah. And so I found really a book printing broker, where they have their connections overseas to kind of keep the prices low, but the quality high for offset printing. And so
how many did you have to buy up front?
Well, you can choose. I mean, you can do as low as 500, but the more you print, then the cheaper it is. And then, as I said, when I commit to an idea, I commit to an idea. So I printed 2,000 books.
2,000, yeah. And I mean, do you mind sharing, like, because I understand there's a lot of work behind it, so. You don't ever pay the wholesale price distributed, but when somebody buys it off the stand, people need to understand that, okay, it costs whatever per one, but there's all the time and the energy that you have to do to find that, and you got to recoup all that through the sales, right? So how much to print 2,000 books? You had to create a PDF and just send it to this guy? Like, is it
a very specific kind of PDF file? And where it had various margins and bleed marks and all that. So I mean, it ended up being relatively affordable. It was under $2 a book, which is great. Because then when you still I have to pay my sister for doing all the artwork, and she earns her own royalties.
Absolutely.
Even the bookstores and all the sellers, they need to get their cut. So I mean, when you chop it all up, it's really small, but it's also better than traditional publishing, where an author might get 5% of the retail price.
Absolutely. Okay. And so you went and started shopping that around. And so that's how you started getting out there. That's how you met Ebony then, I suppose.
Exactly.
Right? So it wasn't through a networking group? How was it?
No. Yeah.
And she never pitched you on networking?
No.
You need to be doing networking, my brother. Because yes, Fargo is amazing. What's amazing about Fargo, and I say this all the time, we have a very low unemployment rate, but we also have a very low employment rate because so many of us are self-employed. And I think it has to do with that immigration policy I discussed before. And because of that, we're all willing to come together. And so networking groups are huge. You have to start attending networking groups so that you can let people know about your books and about what's going on. So how did you meet Ebony though? How did that?
Through one of the stores that I'm in, the First Avenue Market. I've actually had a couple events with them this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
But Ebony was involved with the First Avenue Market for a while, selling all her various goods.
Okay.
And so when I started in First Avenue Market, of course, they were like, "Oh, welcome, new vendor." And so, of course, I started following some of the other vendors. She started following me, and I post all the time on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, saying, "All right, here are how things are going, et cetera, et cetera." And Ebony, out of the goodness of her heart, at one point was just like, "Hey, I would be more than happy to put some of my books out on my stand at Red River Market and all these other pop-ups that I have, and which, like, she totally did not need to do anything like that. But this is exactly what I'm looking for, you know? Building these kinds of connections, building with the community and meeting people, not just for myself to get out there a little bit more, but, you know, being a community and helping each other. Building those connections. And Ebony, she really did exactly that. The kind of thing that I absolutely love and I think people need to do a lot more of.
That's spectacular. And so you have one more book. And I mean, the show's like over. Like, this is the end of and we didn't get to your last book. You have a new book coming out.
Sophia's Monster.
Whoa, and that's a much bigger book. That's not a board book at all.
Not at all.
Was it the same process to get that published?
More or less, just learning about the different formatting.
You use the same book broker?
Different one.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, like you're not afraid to just kind of search around and find...
Yeah, kind of need to find what works, what fits. And so it's a learning process for sure.
But at this point, you already have like a distribution network, right? Because you know all the people who took your board book. So is it mostly the process of just coming up to them and saying, here's the next book? The first one must have gone so successfully that you wanted to do it again? Or what was the motivation or what was the thoughts behind doing that?
Well, I actually wrote both books at the same time.
Okay.
But we started off with the Red Ball because it was kind of a simpler book, even though the printing process is a little more complex. But yeah, I haven't really approached anyone yet at holding or selling Sophia's Monster yet. Yeah. We're getting there. I just need to get the printer to give me like a final, like, here's when you're going to have copies date, and then I'll be able to start pitching it to people. But for now, it's still just kind of getting into the community, you know, meeting other local authors and other local business owners. And you're doing the thing that it takes to, like, get out there. You're doing the networking. You're building a network. You start doing some intentional networking on top of that, and you're going to go to the moon. So I'm going to send you some lists. There's like 12 different places in town. I'll send you the list. But that is all. That's a heck of a story. That's very cool that you landed here and decided to start making children's books, and you're out there getting the books into people's hands, and I think that's really great. If people want to, the last thing we do here is to plug yourself. So if people want to go out and buy your book, or people want to get a hold of you, or maybe people want to publish their own book, you already have the distribution network. Maybe you could become a publisher and take a 50% cut of the gross margins. How should people approach you? Okay, so if you're looking for my books, they're in a number of locations, and I can list off a bunch of them for you.
In Fargo, North Dakota.
In Fargo, yeah. There are a few in Grand Forks, but primarily here in Fargo.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Arden Learn, great little store for educational supplies. Definitely check them out. I mentioned Sweet Dreams Confection, so candy store and other kinds of soda pops and stuff and fudge. Vintage Point, a gift shop. We're in Ferguson Books, Words to Live By bookstore in Moorhead. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting things.
Can we just buy directly from you, though? How would I reach out to you?
You can absolutely do that.
That's going to be a better margin for you, right?
Well, yeah, but it's not necessarily about that. It's what do the people want? Because I'm all about working with the local businesses too. I mean, I'm even in a writing group. Blanking on the name for whatever reason. Moorhead Friends Writing Group, and they even do pop-ups. And there's a bunch of different genres, and you can find the Red Ball there
that's
too.
A networking group. Maybe you guys don't call yourselves networking, but that's a networking group.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can also go to my website, booksbydanielwolfe.com.
Okay, and that's that's a tough URL, because it's Daniel is Daniel, Daniel, and then Wolf has an extra E in it for no reason. Yeah. But it's books by Dan, Daniel, Wolfe, WOLFE.com.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's really about, what the individual wants. Do you want to just support me and give me a slightly larger margin, or do you want to also support a local business?
Well, or know you. Are you on Facebook? Do you have a blog? Do you do anything like that?
On Facebook, on Instagram.
You're on Facebook?
Yep. Okay. Posting there all the time.
So your DMs are open, so I can just slide into your DMs and be like, hey, Danny boy, I saw you on the Fargo Five. Let's talk books.
Yeah.
Okay.
So same tag, books by Daniel Wolfe.
Okay.
Easy to remember.
And of course, I'm Conrad Fargo. You can find me anywhere you can type in Conrad and Fargo, anywhere at all. That's the end of the show. We have got to get out of here because it's almost 1 o'clock. I don't usually go late like this. It was a great story. Very interesting. I think it's very cool. We're going to listen to the Monster Mash, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks for coming on, Daniel Wolfe, and thank you, everybody, for listening. Goodbye. If the song will come on. There it is. There it is. Monster Mash. Woo! That was the show. Did I get out before 1 o'clock? I don't know.